do you need me to use the mic? Typically I don't need a mic because I grew up nothing but men in my house, so I have a really loud one. So, first of all I want to thank all the candidates for coming. I know they're still taking their seats. This has been a busy week for them. This is their third meeting. So I appreciate them all coming, and I appreciate all of you coming as well, because this is democracy at work, so we really appreciate it. So I'm just going to run through the format for the evening. So our candidates have been briefed with the top 2 questions. So we told our members and everybody else who subscribes to our newsletter. So we have 2 burning questions. The candidates know what they are, and they will have 90 seconds to introduce themselves and answer those 2 top questions. We have a light box here. Green means go. Orange means you have 30 seconds left, and red means alright. And I have a bell, so I will be using the bell. You may not go over your time. For the next questions, they will have 60 seconds to answer each question. So, as I said, we've already got a lot of questions. They'll just be randomly drawn from this little box here. And then I will also randomly draw the order of speaking, so they don't all get to speak in the same order. Anybody who didn't register in advance and didn't have a chance to submit a question, we will have 2 volunteers in blue holding postcards. Alright, they're waving at me. So Lyle at the back and Suzanne over on your left. So they will have postcards and pens. You can write down your question. We will collate them at the table. As I said, we've already got a lot of questions, so we may already have your question in our pile. We will not get to all of your questions. We have too many, but we're going to do our best. So I've asked the candidates to be succinct, and I said to them, you don't need to use your full 90 seconds or your full 60 seconds. If you've said it, then it gives us a chance to ask more questions so they can present to you the breadth and depth of their platform. So I haven't really said that to them.
The yellow tape before I go over.
The yellow tape, so that covers off if you have a question. Once we start, just have your hand up and somebody will give you a postcard. That's it. Oh, if anybody has a question for a specific candidate, they will have 60 seconds. But there are 3 wild cards. So each candidate has 3 wild cards. So if one candidate has a question that's addressed only to them, any candidate can hold up one of their wild cards and they get 30 seconds to respond. But they only have 3 of these.
Can you just explain that flyer?
Yes, I will explain the flyer. Thank you for reminding me. Any other questions before I move on to the flyer?
Is there a possibility to make some questions hold over all of us?
They will hold over all of you. So you'll have the questions that we ask, you'll
So
get
the
answers.
question from the audience.
Yeah. I apologize for the mic. The cordless mic is not here, and so the IT department has been here all day to fix this up for us. So please do be careful up there. Some yellow tape on it for you. And then I know some people have got one of these. These are not information leaflets for the district. These are the city, and they were delivered in error to people living in the district. But you will get a new, better, and improved version from the district tomorrow or Friday in your mailbox. That will have all the district information, okay? So I think that's, I'm going to shut up now and we'll give the candidates. Thank you everyone, and you So, the first one to speak is going to be Matthew. There you are.
Testing. Okay, this works great. Thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Matthew Bond, and I'm running for mayor. Grateful to be here on these unceded lands, which the Tsleil-Waututh and Squamish people have stewarded since time immemorial. By trade, I'm a professional engineer. I've spent 15 years working in complex transportation systems and sustainable community development. My friends try to tell me, Matthew, don't come across like too much of an engineer tonight, but it's part of who I am, so I'll do my best. My kids were born here in Lynn Valley. I spent every weekday for the past 4 years in this community, involved with my 2 daughters at Lynn Valley Parent Participation Preschool, and spent half my life in the trails and forests of Mount Frome. I've learned a lot during my 8 years on council. I'm always open to learning. To those here tonight that lived in Emery or Mount Port, I am sorry. The official community plan said the only place we could put new homes in this community was on top of your homes. The system was broken. Since those decisions, I've been the strongest advocate on council for providing new affordable homes on district homeland. The negative outcomes we're experiencing today are the result of decades of, sorry, okay, I just got distracted.
30 seconds.
The negative outcomes we're experiencing today are the result of decades of inaction. Change is hard, and yet change comes with so much possibility and opportunity. There are proven 21st century solutions we can implement today.
90 seconds is up.
90 seconds is up.
Yeah.
Great. I will.
And the next to speak is going to be Catherine.
Hi, I'm Catherine Pope, and I'm very grateful to be here tonight on the unceded lands of Slim, Watup, and Squamish nations. I'm a former reporter from Global TV. I now work as a consultant on communications projects, most recently with the BC Human Rights Commission. I have also worked on many contracts with governments, crown corporations, and the Covenant Institute, an environmental organization you might have heard of. In regards to the question of sustainability and the environment, well, thanks to Councillor Megan Curran, the district declared, as you probably know, a climate emergency in 2019. We need to build on that and embed climate action into everything we do. Big picture, when we are planning housing, we need to plan walkable town centers where people can walk or ride to get their groceries or their pharmacy. Affordable housing, yes, I support using municipally owned land for affordable housing. We need to have a voice at the table though when the formulas are determined with BC Housing. And the district has to have input into that because it's not working what they define as affordable housing. I will advocate for this and collaborate with BC Housing to make this happen. I'm Catherine Pope. Thank you.
And I realized I did miss something because I forgot to read out to everybody here what the top 2 questions were, so I apologize. I should have written it out beforehand. So the first question was, what is your plan for sustainability and the environment? The second question, do you support using municipally owned land for affordable housing? Yes or no? So-called affordable housing being developed isn't actually affordable. Do you have a plan to create truly affordable housing and rental, as opposed to the technical definition of affordable housing and below market rental? So again, all of I have to walk that like you guys have. Next up is Jim.
Hello. For those of you who have not had the pleasure to meet already, I'm Jim Hansen, and I've been elected twice at the North Vancouver District Council. I'd like to start by thanking the organizers of this event. I know the amount of painstaking work it takes to conducting an event of this type, and I thank you for doing all that work. And secondly, and perhaps even more importantly, I'd like to thank all of you. You're the ones that are really doing the heavy lifting tonight. You're deciding the shape of the future of our community by who it is that you're going to vote for. And I thank you for your commitment, for coming out and learning about the candidates. As well as being a councillor, I'm also a spouse. My spouse Ruth is with me, and we have 2 adult children. And we know full well from their experiences, from the challenges they're facing, what it means to be a young person in our society today, especially around the issue of housing. The top two issues facing our community are, first of all, transportation, and secondly, affordable housing. On the issue of transportation, I commit that if I'm re-elected, by the end of this council term, we'll have a definite plan for rapid transit to the North Shore in terms of budgeting and timelines. I also will support active transportation. On affordable housing, I will prioritize social, affordable, and rental housing. Let's build the housing we need for our population and not the housing the developers need to make money. Thank you very much.
Next up is Clayton.
Hi everyone, my name is Clayton Wallow. First time running for council, and I'm running because I want to bring decision making closer to the level of the citizen. So on the question of sustainability, I assume it means fiscal sustainability for the district. So in that regard, we should keep costs under control so we don't end up becoming a municipality that's reliant on ever-increasing assessment values of our property in order to pay for a growing district budget. In terms of environment, I think there's a role for municipal government to play in protecting local wildlife habitat. I think probably one of our issues here that I've heard some of the other candidates talk about is the idea of overpasses for wildlife to be able to cross busy roads in North Vancouver. In terms of housing on municipal land, I'm not opposed to it in principle, but I don't think it's the municipal government's job to be building housing or funding housing. And my concern there is that that is a prophecy that can never be fulfilled. Right? As soon as people get the idea that housing is entitlement, then we can never build enough of it, right? And it will become too onerous on taxpayers if it becomes the state's responsibility to provide everybody with a home. Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Harrison Johnston. I am running for council for the first time. I want to start by acknowledging the Squamish and Tsleil-Waututh unceded territory where we are gathered today. I originally got into politics as a climate organizer. I was one of the lead organizers of the youth climate strikes, including bringing more than 100,000 people to the streets of Vancouver in 2019. And I have, based on that work, I have worked with municipalities across Metro Vancouver implementing climate action plans. And based on that, I can say that the district has actually done some really incredible work on climate during the last term, largely led by Council Megan Curran, whose endorsement I'm really honored to have. But there's a lot of work that still needs to be done, including retrofitting existing buildings and giving people real options to get out of their cars by improving our active and public transportation infrastructure. The climate is what got me into politics. The two big issues that have motivated me to run for council are housing and transportation. As a young person who grew up in this community, I lived in, my family moved to Lynn Valley 19 years ago. I want to one day raise my own family here. I love this community, but that possibility is getting further and further out of reach. I am committed to ensuring that the district is building housing that is truly affordable for young people, for students, for seniors, for teachers, for healthcare workers, the essential workers that keep our community going. They need to be able to afford to live here. Right now, young people under 50 are steadily leaving our community. That is not acceptable. Thank you all.
I have a question for you all, candidates. Would you prefer I just gave you a day rather than say you've got 30 seconds left?
Yeah.
Would that be better?
It's early. Okay, I'm Jenny Forbes. I'm running for a second term as councillor on the district council. And I'm a very deep roots here. I'm a fourth generation North Vancouverite. So I'm very familiar with all of the North Shore and the North Vancouver district and what the problems and the issues are for you. I have tried to be the voice for you on at the decision table for the district. My children were raised here in Lynn Valley and they're very proud of their heritage, but I'm afraid I've already lost one child that has moved away from the district because he couldn't afford to live here. And that shouldn't happen to anybody. It means I have a 5.5-hour drive to see a grandchild. So I hope that we do something about affordable housing. I'm an accountant by profession, and in the past I actually worked in the district of North Vancouver's finance department for 5 years. My priorities and my focuses are, number one, community voices. I'm listening, diverse, affordable, which I define as attainable according to income, housing, and transportation. As far as developer money, no, I won't accept any development money in my campaign. And as far as sustainability, there are a number of fiscal sustainability and environmental sustainability. And I want an audit on the 5-year operating and capital plan for current relevance now. And the environmental sustainability, we need to enforce our current regulations, protect our parklands and wildlife, and continue to develop.
Next up is Ray.
Good evening, everyone. It's wonderful to see you here so engaged. It is important. And thank you to the organizers as well. Having lived on the North Shore for over 2 decades with my wife and 2 children over by Hunter Park, my priorities now include more flexibility in types of housing through zoning reform, safer routes for bikes and pedestrians, and increased resilience in the face of climate change. For housing, I do support the use of municipal land for housing. In addition, we can follow the footsteps of other progressive municipalities and give flexibility through the update of zoning. Our bylaws are over half a century old, that's before Woodstock, and reflect the restrictions on housing from the bygone era. Ultimately, this means we are excluding the people we want and need here: firefighters, dental hygienists, and small business owners, and even our own children. Let's update the bylaws to allow for duplexes, triplexes, both suites and coach houses, and lane walks. For getting around, we all want less traffic on our roads and quieter, healthier communities. I believe the development of safe, fully connected routes for everybody getting around who is not in a car is a priority. The more options we have without the need for a car, the less impact we have on our environment. I will champion the safety for our community in the face of climate change. Let's move faster on the prevention of forest fires, expand incentives to reduce our footprint locally, and encourage a move to more sustainable sources of energy. I believe in homes for everyone, safe routes for all, and a good stewardship of our environment. Thank you so much.
You never gave us name, you only gave us name. I'll give you a name.
Greg Robbins.
They called my name. Good evening, everyone. It's so great to be with all of you. My name is Jordan Back, and I've served on council since 2018. I'm a lifelong resident of right here in Lynn Valley. My wife Signy and I are now raising our 2 very young children here as well. Outside of council, I work in the advertising industry, where I work with organizations of all sizes on successful marketing campaigns. I know this community well, and I've had a front row seat to the sort of changes that have taken place over the years. This is still an incredible place to live, a place which is defined by our natural environment, whether it's a hike on the Lynn Loop, with a stop at the end of the line, of course, a dip in Lynn Creek, or just the regular walk in Hunter Park to see the ducks with my kids. It's these sort of experiences that I want for the generations to come. The challenges that we face as a community, they're all interconnected, and we must look at every council decision through a climate and ecological lens. Housing is so central to all of these challenges, and to be a sustainable community, people need to be able to live close to where they work and play. So in being a councillor, I've learned so much about what it takes to drive positive change, and I can tell you that it's not easy. The sort of changes that will make our streets safer, our town centres like Lynn Valley more active and vibrant, allowing small businesses to thrive. For me, it's about making this a community that works for young families, because when a place works for kids, then it works for all demographics, including our fast-growing demographic of aging seniors. It's been my honor to serve as your voice on council, and I hope with your support